Hello, guys. I decided to do this speech on the discrimination of atheists. I wanted to talk about something that was a little bit out of my comfort zone, and you can definitely say that this is. I come from a Catholic family and have been a Catholic myself my whole life. I went to a Catholic school through middle school and go to church almost every Sunday. So, talking about discrimination of someone who doesn't believe in God, when I most certainly do, is somewhat weird, but I'm giving it my best try. So first off, I want to do a little research on atheists in the United States. I wanted to see what it was all about and some things about it. So the first thing I came across was that only 2.4% of Americans are atheists, and 67% of those being men aged 18 through 19. This is according to paulresearch.org. So obviously not a lot, but there's still discrimination against them. But next, I wanted to dive a little deeper into the touchy subject. And the first one I came across was titled Anti-Atheist Bias in the United States, Testing Two Critical Assumptions by Lawton K. Swan and Martin Hesack. In summary, it talked about polling anti-atheist prejudice in the United States and how many people prejudice against those who are atheists because of two things. A, it is solely based on their not believing in God, and B, these surveys fail to give reliable information on the subject, so people make assumptions based on the religion alone. The article goes farther into detail, explaining how over half of Americans would not vote an atheist into office, want their child to marry one, and also disfavor those who identify with them. So obviously you can see from this data that many people discriminate against atheists when they know only a few small bits of information on them. And is that really the right thing to do? Being a Catholic, I was taught you never judge anyone because you wouldn't want to be judged yourself. While I certainly do not agree with their beliefs or lack thereof per se, there is certainly more to a person than their religion alone. People must look past their moral hierarchy and give people a chance before we become prejudiced against them. Next, the survey or the article sampled over 900 participants to see how much information is necessary for people to form accurate impressions about others. To do so, they introduced a fictional character named Jordan and asked what was likely true about him based only on different sets of info that was provided to them. One of them was being that he was an atheist, and the other was being that he was a religious and he was single. In fact, they were to be as expected. People who were surveyed on the atheist Jordan showed a strong anti-atheist bias towards him, displaying negative feelings on the subject and scoring him in the negative half of the semantic differential scale. The other Jordan, who was single and religious, scored in the upper half, and these two were the same guys, and they were just displayed different because of the religion. So that was interesting. The next article I came across was titled Forms, Frequency, and Correlates of Perceived Anti-Atheist Discrimination, which was written by a handful of different university professors. What this article showed was the results of a 2008 survey of atheists and how many of them felt discriminated and some of the ways in which they were. But first, the results of the survey showed that 41% of the 800 self-identified atheists living in the U.S. experienced some sort of discrimination within the last 5 years. It goes on to give real-life examples of atheist citizens encountering prejudice because of religion, some even being shunned by their own family and friends. Next, it went on to say that atheists who strongly identified themselves with atheism experienced far more frequent discrimination than those who didn't. So that raises the question, is it better to associate yourself with a group you see yourself in, even when it can cause yourself more pain, or it can limit yourself? So there's that. Another interesting tidbit that was mentioned was that only 5% of people sampled reported to never having witnessed any anti-atheist rhetoric in the print or television media. So it's obvious that discrimination doesn't always come from people themselves, but that in today's technological advanced world we live in, that it also plays a role. The last article I read was titled Atheists by Jonathan Raphael. It also conducted a poll, with this most recent one showing that almost 50% of atheists who are trying to run for a position in the U.S. office are denied each year. In comparison, only 38% of Muslims and 37% of homosexuals face these same challenges. It later goes on to illustrate numerous accounts of aggression and offenses against those who are atheists, much like as seen in the other two articles. But what this article does that I find most interesting is that it compares the gay movement with the new atheist movement. Both communities struggle for their significant freedoms and face many challenges with their social acceptance. The only difference being that gays face far more legal conflicts than those that are atheists. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you for your time.